Why are mechanics seeing thousands of dollars in suspension, damage, premature tire wear, and even safety issues from drivers who religiously maintain their tires at 32 PSI? And what if I told you that 32 PSI might be completely wrong for your vehicle, either dangerously high or critically low depending on what you're driving? After over 20 years diagnosing handling problems, uneven tire wear, and suspension failures, I can tell you that blindly setting all tires to 32 PSI is one of the most common and expensive mistakes drivers make. Today I'm exposing why 32 PSI isn't a universal standard, how to find your vehicle's actual correct pressure, what damage occurs when you get it wrong, and how to properly maintain tire pressure for your specific vehicle. This isn't minor. Getting this wrong costs you money and creates safety risks. Let's get into the truth. First, let's understand where this 32 PSI myth comes from, because there's a reason so many people think it's the standard. Decades ago, many passenger cars did recommend pressures around 30 to 32 PSI. Gas station air compressors often had preset gauges marked at 32 PSI. Tire shop quick lube employees would default to 32 PSI if they didn't check the specific vehicle recommendation. Over time, 32 PSI became ingrained as the normal tire pressure in people's minds. But here's the reality. Tire pressure recommendations vary dramatically between vehicles based on weight, suspension design, tire size, load capacity, and intended use. A Honda Civic might need 32 PSI. A Ford F-150 might need 35 to 38 PSI. A Mercedes S-Class might need 36 PSI front and 41 PSI rear. A sports car might need 29 PSI front and 32 PSI rear for handling balance. Setting all of these vehicles to 32 PSI would be wrong for most of them. Some overinflated, some underinflated, all experiencing problems. Your vehicle's correct tire pressure is determined by the manufacturer and listed on a sticker inside your driver's door jamb, not on the tire sidewall that shows maximum pressure, not recommended pressure. Not at some universal 32 PSI on the door jamb sticker specific to your vehicle. So what happens when you run 32 PSI on a vehicle that actually needs 38 PSI? You're underinflated by 6 PSI, which is significant. Underinflated tires flex excessively in the sidewalls, generating heat that degrades the tire structure over time. The increased flexing causes the tire to run hot, which accelerates wear and increases the risk of tire failure, especially at highway speeds or under load. The tire tread wears unevenly, heavily on the outer edges while the center barely wears. I've seen tires worn completely bald on the edges at 25,000 miles while the center still had 70% tread depth. Those tires should have lasted 60,000 miles. Underinflation cost that driver $800 in premature tire replacement. Fuel economy drops because underinflated tires create more rolling resistance. The engine has to work harder to overcome that resistance, burning more fuel. Studies show that being 6 PSI underinflated can reduce fuel economy by 2 to 3%. Over a year, that's $50 to $100 in wasted fuel. Handling becomes sloppy and unpredictable. The sidewalls flex too much during cornering, reducing responsiveness and making the vehicle feel vague and imprecise. In emergency maneuvers, underinflated tires can't provide the lateral grip needed for safe handling. And the most dangerous consequence, tire failure risk increases dramatically. Underinflated tires running hot can experience tread separation or blowouts, especially on highways or in hot weather. I've diagnosed catastrophic tire failures on vehicles running 6 to 8 PSI underinflated because the owner thought 32 PSI was universal. Now let's talk about the opposite problem. Running 32 PSI on a vehicle that actually needs 28 to 30 PSI. You're overinflated, which causes different but equally serious problems. Overinflated tires have reduced contact patch with the road, concentrating all the vehicle's weight on a smaller area of tread. This causes rapid center tread wear. The middle of the tire wears out, while the edges barely touch the ground. Ride quality becomes harsh and jarring because overinflated tires don't absorb road imperfections. Every bump transmits directly into the cabin. Passengers complain about the rough ride, and you're experiencing unnecessary wear on suspension components from the increased impact forces. Traction decreases because the smaller contact patch reduces grip. Braking distances increase. Wet traction suffers. Hydroplaning risk goes up because the tire can't channel water effectively with reduced road contact. And impact damage risk increases. Overinflated tires are rigid and can't absorb impacts from potholes or road debris. The tire or wheel can be damaged by impacts that properly inflated tires would have handled without issue. I've diagnosed bent wheels and sidewall bubbles caused by hitting normal road hazards with overinflated tires. Let me give you real-world examples. Customer A drove a Ford F-250 Super Duty truck. The door jamb recommended 60 psi front and 65 psi rear for normal load, or up to 80 psi rear for maximum towing load. He'd been running 32 psi in all 4 tires because that's what everyone does. The tires were massively underinflated, 28 to 33 psi below recommendation. At 35,000 miles, both rear tires experienced tread separation and blew out on the highway within 2 weeks of each other. The excessive sidewall flexing from chronic underinflation caused the tire structure to fail. He was lucky it didn't cause an accident. The tire replacements, towing, and body damage from road debris cost him over $1,500, all because he ignored the 60/65 psi door jamb recommendation and ran 32 psi. Customer B drove a BMW 3 Series. The door jamb recommended 32 psi front and 35 psi rear. He thought 32 psi was universal, so he set all 4 tires to 32 psi. The rear tires were 3 psi underinflated, which doesn't sound like much, but over 40,000 miles, it caused noticeable edge wear on the rear tires. They needed replacement at 40,000 miles when they should have lasted 50,000 to 55,000 miles. Wasted money, $400. Customer C drove a Honda Civic. Door jamb recommended 32 psi all around. He actually had the correct pressure by coincidence because 32 psi happened to be right for that vehicle. But he didn't know it was right. He was just guessing based on the myth that 32 psi is universal. If he'd bought a different vehicle, he'd have been wrong. So how do you actually determine and maintain correct tire pressure? Step 1. Find your vehicle's door jamb sticker. Open the driver's door and look on the door jamb for a white and yellow sticker listing tire sizes and pressures. The sticker will show recommended PSI for front and rear tires, sometimes with different pressures for different load conditions. Use the normal load pressure unless you're carrying or towing maximum weight. If you can't find the door jamb sticker, check your owner's manual. The correct pressure is listed there. If you've lost the manual, search online for your vehicle's year, make, and model plus recommended tire pressure, and you'll find the specification. Step 2. Check pressure when tires are cold, meaning the vehicle hasn't been driven for at least 3 hours, or it's been driven less than 1 mile. Tire pressure increases as tires heat up from driving. If you check after driving several miles, the reading will be artificially high by 2 to 4 psi. The door jamb recommendation assumes cold tire pressure. Step 3. Use an accurate tire pressure gauge. Don't trust gas station air compressor gauges, they're often inaccurate. Buy a quality digital or analog gauge for $10 to $20. Remove the valve cap, press the gauge firmly onto the valve stem, and read the pressure. Step 4. Add or release air to match the door jamb recommendation exactly. If the door jamb says 35 psi front and 38 psi rear, set the fronts to 35 and the rears to 38. Don't round to 32 psi, don't add extra for safety, match the recommendation precisely. Step 5. Check all 4 tires plus the spare. Front and rear often require different pressures. Left and right should be the same, but verify both sides. And don't forget the spare, it's often severely underinflated when you actually need it. Step 6. Check pressure monthly and before long trips. Tires naturally lose about 1 psi per month, more in cold weather. Monthly checks catch slow leaks and maintain proper pressure year-round. Now let's address the but. My tire shop always sets them to 32 psi complaint. Many quick lube and tire shops default to 32 psi because it's fast, it's in the middle of the common range, and most customers don't complain. But that's lazy service, not correct service. A professional shop should check the door jamb sticker and set pressure to the manufacturer's specification, not a default number. If your tire shop is setting all vehicles to 32 psi without checking the door jamb, find a better shop. Proper tire service includes setting correct pressure for your specific vehicle. Let's also address cold weather pressure changes. Tire pressure drops about 1 psi for every 10 Fahrenheit drop in temperature. If you set your tires to 35 psi in summer when it's 85 degrees and winter arrives with 25-degree temperatures, your pressure might drop to 29 psi just from temperature change. That's 6 psi underinflated. You need to add air in winter to compensate for temperature loss. Check pressure when temperatures drop significantly and adjust to the door jamb recommendation. When spring arrives and temps rise, check again and release air if needed to avoid overinflation. Here's another myth to debunk. I'll just add a few extra psi for safety. Don't do this. The engineers who designed your vehicle already factored in safety, load capacity, handling, and tire longevity when determining the recommended pressure. Adding extra doesn't make it safer, it makes it overinflated with all the problems that causes. The only time you should deviate from the door jamb recommendation is if the sticker lists different pressures for different load conditions. If you're towing maximum weight or carrying a full load of passengers and cargo, use the higher pressure listed for maximum load, but for normal daily driving, use the normal load pressure. Here's the bottom line. Stop setting tire pressure to 32 psi without checking your door jamb sticker. 32 psi is not a universal standard. It's wrong for most vehicles, either too high or too low depending on the vehicle's specifications. Running incorrect pressure causes premature tire wear, reduced fuel economy, poor handling, and safety risks, including tire failure. The correct pressure is on your door jamb sticker, not some arbitrary number that's been passed down for decades. Find your sticker, read your recommended pressure, set your tires to that exact pressure when cold. Check monthly. This simple habit prevents thousands of dollars in premature tire replacement, improves fuel economy, maintains proper handling, and keeps you safe. Your tires are the only contact between your vehicle and the road. Maintaining correct pressure is one of the simplest and most important maintenance tasks you can do. Don't guess, don't assume. Check the door jamb and get it right. What pressure does your door jamb actually recommend? And were you running 32 psi before watching this? Drop a comment with your vehicle and whether this changed how you maintain your tires. And if this video just stopped you from blindly running 32 psi on a vehicle that needs something completely different, hit that like button. Next week, I'm breaking down which tire brands actually last versus which ones wear out prematurely despite marketing claims. You need to see that before your next tire purchase. If you're not subscribed, hit that button now, drop a comment, I respond to everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.